Hello and welcome to Forward Boldly. I'm your host, Christine Niles. I wanted to focus today on China, suffering China. There were a lot of disturbing videos and news coming out of China during the very harsh, brutal lockdowns, some of the worst lockdowns in the world during the pandemic, the so-called pandemic. And now the government is ramping up its control of every aspect of citizens' lives over there by using the social credit system, causing even more suffering on Chinese citizens. I wanted to take a look at this today and how this could be coming to the United States. Some people are saying that it's already been kind of secretly introduced to the U.S. in various ways. But today I really wanted to focus on the suffering people of China. My heart goes out to them. I hope that you will pray for them, remember them in your prayers. I do believe in the power of prayer and that our prayers here, however little they may be, however small, can help individuals halfway across the world suffering in China. So all of that in today's episode. But before we get into that, I wanted to let you know, a quick programming note, that this Thursday, I will not be airing a new episode of Forward Boldly, and that's because we're going to be in Washington, D.C. for the Deposit of Faith Conference. And all of you are welcome to attend. We're very excited about it. We're going to have a number of speakers speaking on some political topics like illegal immigration and climate change and things like that. But primarily, the goal of this Deposit of Faith Conference is to highlight the fact that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops very often act more like the Democrat Party in robes, that they very often push leftist political talking points rather than what they should be doing, which is promoting the gospel. Too often that is forgotten in favor of politics, and too often that politics tends to lean left. And so we're going to be out there essentially demanding some accountability for the U.S. bishops. You can go to churchmilitant.com/DOF, which stands for Deposit of Faith. That's churchmilitant.com/DOF to learn more, and you are more than welcome, like I said, to attend. As I mentioned, the COVID lockdowns during China were among the worst, as many people now believe the Wuhan virus we believe it came from a lab in Wuhan, a leak. Whether it was accidental or deliberate is up for debate, but COVID is widely believed to have originated from China, from Wuhan. But the measures that the Communist Chinese government took to try to eradicate COVID, they had a zero COVID policy, were extremely harsh. I mean, harsh is not even the word to describe it. And because you cannot trust state-controlled media in China because they censor anything that's negative or critical of the government over there that would make the government look bad, we really don't know the true numbers of people who suffered and died during the pandemic and during the lockdowns as well. But during the harshest times of the lockdowns, and even long after, even as other countries were lifting their lockdowns and letting people go back outside, China was still locking its citizens down if I found a single case of COVID. And it was absolutely heart-wrenching because some people were literally padlocked inside their apartments. They could not get out. The government sent officials to padlock their apartments so that they were literally stuck inside their apartments. No one could go in, no one could go out. People starved. The Chinese government doesn't want you to know that because here they are providing food. You could see the food trucks coming in and people delivering items and groceries and things like that. Yes, that reached some people, but there were a number of people those did not reach. And those people were stuck inside their apartments and could not get out, and nobody was able to come and help them. And many of them died either of thirst or hunger. Again, the communist government doesn't want you knowing any of this information. But there were videos coming out of China during that time that were, snuck out on social media. One of them is this one showing thousands of people locked down in high-rise apartments, screaming for help and banging pots and pans. It was like a cry of desperation for help because they didn't know what else to do. Let's go ahead and play that clip. There was another really disturbing video as well of people screaming, literally screaming from these high-rise apartments. Thousands of voices joined together in one collective cry of desperation because they were stuck inside. And some people were starving, like I said, and there was nothing that they could do about it. During this time, the government also, in a very Orwellian move, because again, it's a communist government, so they're interested in controlling every single aspect of your life, they would send drones through the sky around people's living quarters and apartments, ordering them to stay inside. Let's take a look at some of those drones. And also, China became notorious for COVID camps, where they would send hundreds of thousands of people to be quarantined if they had COVID or they were suspected of having COVID. Little children, toddlers, were literally isolated from their parents and kept in really what were essentially prison cells. Couldn't get out, nothing. And they relied on the government officials to bring them food every day. If a government official accidentally skipped your cell or whatever, well, it's too bad. There's no way to complain, no way to communicate. Let's take a look at just one of these COVID camps in China. Now, during the COVID lockdowns, the Chinese government used that as an opportunity to seize power, to seize control, greater control, to increase their control over the Chinese people. And every single Chinese citizen was required to have a COVID passport, and it would be on their cell phones. It was like a QR code, okay? And you had to show that, you had to scan that anywhere you went. There were checkpoints where you had to scan your QR code, your COVID passport, whether you wanted to go into a store or board a bus or a train or a plane. You had to scan your COVID passport. If it came back green, you were good to go. You're free of COVID because you took COVID testing, you tested for COVID, and you're clean. But if it came back yellow or red, you were out of luck. Yellow usually meant that you needed to test again. Red meant either that you had failed to test or that you were COVID positive. And so you were completely denied entry to any place. You couldn't go to the hospital, you couldn't go to the pharmacy, store, wherever you wanted, trains, buses, planes. And some people were even locked out of their own apartments as they were coming home. So you had to scan your QR code to get back into your apartment. And because they either got yellow or red, there are videos of these people literally sleeping on the floor, on the street outside their apartment building because they were locked out because their QR code wasn't green. It was amazing. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Here is real video of a woman whose QR code was not green. She was denied entry to a hospital, pregnant woman ready to give birth. She was forced to give birth on the pavement outside the hospital building with passers-by trying to help her. It was absolutely atrocious. And during the height of COVID, like I said, if your QR code was not green, but yellow or red, you could be hauled away immediately without time even to tell your family goodbye. Hauled away immediately by the health officials and forced to quarantine in a COVID camp for 2 weeks. Right here is a video of a man being hauled away because his QR code was not green. It was yellow. It wasn't even red. It was yellow. And they took him away like he was a common criminal. That video is from Guangdong province on April 16, 2022. And here's the troubling thing, is that the government could remotely control the QR code from cell phones. They can do that now. And in fact, they did do that in November 2022 for iPhone factory workers who were protesting the lockdowns. They were political dissidents. So the communist government, they switched their QR codes from green to red. This is where the danger lies. This is the problem. The government can determine now whether or not you are free or you're treated like a criminal. They have the power to switch those codes. Didn't have anything to do with your health status, with whether or not you had COVID. It was entirely about government control. And that's what they did with these iPhone factory workers. You also have videos of Chinese citizens who are rushing after work or after school to go get their COVID test because they knew, if I don't get my green QR code, then I can't participate in society like a normal human being. Here they are. Let's watch this clip of various citizens in different cities rushing after work or after school to get their COVID test. I want to give credit to a website. It's at Songpinganq, Songpinganq. I encourage you to follow this individual because they are posting these videos out of China, and it's illegal for this individual to do so. He has to be anonymous, otherwise the Chinese communists could come and get him and very bad things could happen to him. But I encourage you to, if you are on Twitter, follow him and read what he posts, see the videos he posts, retweet them. Get information out about the suffering people of China and what it is that they're having to endure under this brutal regime. But as I said, during the lockdowns, the government did this massive power grab, and they took advantage of this opportunity to increase their power. And they are expanding that power today through the social credit system. Social credit system is truly Orwellian. For my younger viewers out there, if you've not read the book 1984 by George Orwell, I highly recommend that you do so. It's short, but it's packed full of insight about the potential for certain governments to turn very dictatorial and very dark. And China, communist China, is very much a model of the Big Brother system highlighted in 1984. Truly Orwellian, this China social credit system. It determines every single aspect of your life. Where you go to college, where your kids go to school, what kind of job you get, how much money you make, even whether your marriage material, every aspect of your life it controls. Let's watch a very short summary from France 24 on exactly what the Chinese social credit system is.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wenwang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wenwang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her, On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water.
Now, there are a number of factors that can determine whether your score goes up or goes down. So, for instance, if you don't have the approved number of children, according to the communist government, your score can go down. It will go down. If you criticize the government, your score will go down. If you behave in any way that the government disapproves of, your score will go down. So this is not just about a bad person committing crimes and your credit score goes down. Of course, that's going to happen. This is about whether or not you're a model citizen according to the communist government. And they look at every single aspect of your life. What you say, what you do, where you go, who you hang out with, what you watch, what you eat, what you buy, everything. If you get a low social credit score, you are publicly shamed. So for instance, you can walk through a Chinese mall and they have these big monitors everywhere, and they will show the faces with the addresses and names of the people with the low social credit scores and publicly shame them. And the Chinese have gotten so used to it that when media asks them about it, like over there, Western journalists go over there and ask them about this, people walk around like, oh, well, if you've done bad things, well, then you deserve to be shamed. Every single one is saying the same response. Yeah, it's only fair if you've done something bad, then people deserve to know about it. Okay, that's fine, I guess, if they're common criminals. But some of these people are political dissidents. Some of these people are journalists who have uncovered government corruption, and for that, they have been punished. Take a look at this clip from the same France 24 report where they highlight one Chinese journalist and how he was blacklisted.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. But he only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
So, the government controls every aspect of your life through this social credit system, and it ensures that you keep your mouth shut if you know anything about government corruption, because your entire life will be blacklisted and you will lose every single opportunity for yourself and even for your children if you say the wrong thing, if you write the wrong thing. It is truly, what a hell to live in for these people. I feel so sorry for them. Like I said, if your social credit score is not high enough, you are actually denied entry onto public transportation. Here's a video of people at an airport checkpoint, an entry point. And if it's green, fine, go through if your social credit score is high enough, but if it's low, it's red. And people will immediately come and they will take you away. Now, according to the current scores of social credit in China, there's an app that will tell you what your score is, and this is their ranking system. AAA means you have more than 1,150 points. That means you are an exemplary citizen. A AA means you have between 1050 and 1150 points. You're an excellent citizen. An A means you have between 1,000 and 1,050 points. You are an honest citizen. According to the communist government, you are honest. If you have a B, which is between 900 and 1,000, you're relatively honest. A C, between 800 and 900, it's warning level. Warning level. D, 800 and under, dishonest. You are a dishonest individual according to the communist government. Now, for someone like me, if I were a journalist, investigative journalist living in communist China, and I uncovered government corruption, which is kind of my job, I would be way under dishonest. I would get a 0. I would be completely blacklisted, treated as the lowest of the low, the filth, the person, no rights, nothing. You don't get to do anything. All because you criticized the government or uncovered corruption. They even have a map with a social credit map that will allow you to determine digitally which lepers you need to stay away from. So who has the high social credit scores versus who has the low ones, which parts of the neighborhood should you move to because of the higher scores, which parts you want to avoid because of the lower scores. Again, it's not like looking at a sex crimes, registry so that you can determine in your area, where does the pedophile live? Let's stay away from the pedophile. Totally understandable. Again, this is a social credit score based entirely upon whether or not the communist government approves of your behavior. Now, how exactly is China keeping track of its citizens? Because it seems like an enormous task to assign every single individual in China, 1.4 billion people, a specific score. How are they keeping track of Chinese citizens? Well, many different ways, primarily through technology. They have what is called Skynet. It has more than 700 million CCTV cameras. That is half the world's total. 700 million CCTV cameras spying on all the citizens of China in order to help determine their social credit score. Where are you going? Who are you with? All of this stuff. Take a look at this clip, okay, of a Chinese highway and all the cameras flashing and clicking as cars are driving by. Those highway overhangs must have had at least 24 cameras on them, and the constant clicking. I mean, this is everywhere. This is everywhere, all over China, everywhere. As far as those QR codes, the COVID passports, they're still in effect. People still have to take those COVID tests. They still have to get the green QR code in order to access all sorts of places and live as normal citizens in society. And what's more, it's costing about $50 a month for each citizen to do that. Now, $50 a month may not be a big deal for some of you out there, but there are a lot of poor people in China. And for them, that's very expensive. $50 a month to do this useless, pointless testing. But again, it's not really about health status. It is about government control. I hope you're enjoying the show. The rest of the show is behind the paywall, so please go to churchmilitant.com to watch the rest. For those who are not premium subscribers, you can sign up at churchmilitant.com/go premium. See you there.